There's no way they're going to get a trade or compensation that will actually replace in any shape or form Patrick Dangerfield.
North Melbourne expects Robbie Tarrant and Drew Petrie to be fit to play in Saturday's preliminary final against West Coast. But Hawthorn forward Jack Gunston has been ruled out of tomorrow's preliminary final against Fremantle because of his ankle injury. And now the 5AA forecast.
Add some colour to your wardrobe. Visit theuniqueyou.com.au. Gorgeous fashion for women's size 14 to 24.
Partly cloudy, a top of 18, down to 5 overnight. Sunny tomorrow, a top of 19, then a beautiful weekend, sunny and 24 both days. Partly cloudy to start off next week, temperatures in the low to mid-20s. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Make the best ever move at Balmoral Retirement Village. 24/7 emergency call and security for extra peace of mind. This is Peter Godfrey.
Good morning, 5:06. We haven't got to our 5-degree overnight minimum yet, but we're at the coolest we've been, 7.2 degrees in the city at the moment, so we might get a little bit lower as we get closer to the sun peaking up. The sun's already up across the ditch in New Zealand. Let's take a look at things happening across there. Selwyn Manning, editor of eveningreport.nz, joins us. How are you, Selwyn?
Yeah, very good, Peter. There's a little bit of rain coming across the Auckland area of New Zealand at the moment. The last 5 days, it's almost like we've had spring taken away from us and cooler weather replaced it.
Yeah.
So that advance towards warmer weather was certainly halted.
Yeah, okay.
Late last week, yes.
Okay, well, ours has been ours has been right, sort of recent kind of weekend, last weekend, beautiful. We've had a bit of rain this week and cooler temperatures, and then we're leading up to another weekend of 24 degrees and sunny, so it's working out nicely for us.
Oh, that sounds like well, hopefully, we import a little bit of that.
We'll send it your way after we finish with it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, lots we can talk about. We'll get on to the Rugby World Cup shortly, but firstly, your changing of your flag. You've got this couple of referendums coming up, and your Prime Minister, John Key, has relented to public opinion and now backing a move at this fifth design, the red peak included as an option for Kiwis to vote on at the referendum.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Peter, you raised this last week or the week before about the red peak flag design. Now, I mean, that's the one that the public seems to be really focusing on at the moment. Now, you're absolutely right. John Key did another U-turn on such things, and he's certainly, he's a skilled politician in U-turns, this guy. But the government is now pushing ahead to replace the New Zealand flag. That's the background to all of this. One of the 4 preferential designs, they're putting forward 4 preferential designs that came through from a so-called independent panel to put before the public at a referendum. Now, the red peak design was excluded from that final 4, and it requires a law change for it to be put before the public as one of those options. Now, that would increase it by the 4 to 5 options before the public. So the details of that, the first referendum will be held in November 20th through to December 11th, postal vote, by the way. Now, that's this year. And that will ask New Zealanders to rank the alternative flags.
Right.
The winner of that, so those what was 4 flag options, and now will be 5 because the government is, making sure that that happens.
Yeah.
People will get the chance to choose which is their preferred option of those 5. Now, the winner of that will go in a runoff against the current flag, similar to Australia, except it doesn't have the 5th star there.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And that referendum will be held on March 3rd through to March 24, 2016, so next year.
Next year, okay.
And that will be binding, Peter. So the New Zealand Herald, it's been running an online poll which shows that there's little support at all for the original 4 replacement options.
Little support, okay.
Hardly anything there, 1% support here, 2%, that type of thing. The red peak design, which until the breakthrough, I suppose you'd say yesterday, it continues to be the favoured option by around 50% of those who voted on the online poll. And remember, this isn't scientific, it's an unscientific poll. Around 3,050 people last night had voted in it. But that said, 50% were going for the red flag, and only 28% favoured the New Zealand flag, the current one.
Okay. Oh. So,
now, on the politics of this started to really ratchet up about 10 days ago or so, maybe 14 days ago now. John Key, he set out this thing, and he's been under a fair bit of pressure because of the process here. Instead of the first part of the referendum going to the public and saying, do you support a flag change, yes or no? Which would be the normal thing.
Yeah.
People say, oh, yep, okay, or no. And then it would go to another referendum which would say, okay, here are the options, the original one that we've currently got, or these.
Yeah.
That's what, logically, John Key did it the other way round, and people have criticised this, so that, the first question is, which one of these do you prefer? And then another referendum putting the winner of that against the current. So some people assert that is skewing it. Yeah. Now, the politics of it came out where the Green Party presented legislation supporting the inclusion of this red peak flag, red peak design. John Key, he jumped on that and supported the Green Party's move. Remember, the Green Party's in opposition here.
Yeah.
And John Key criticised Labour and New Zealand First parties and the opposition bloc for blocking the Green Party's move, and criticised them for playing politics. It all got messed up and that kind of thing yesterday, Peter, and John Key said it in the quote here, in the end, I'm not wanting to be the one that stands in the way of people having some choice. That's what he was saying when he was going into Parliament yesterday. And really, when you look at it, and I know that, John Key is becoming more and more popular over in Australia, considering that both Prime Ministers favour his style of politics. Yeah. But just to be one of the things that stands out on this, if you look at the flag issue as an example, is this politician, this Prime Minister here, he manoeuvres with absolute ease around tricky political issues. And once the public opinion is clear on an issue, he commits to that U-turn, which he's done on this, without blinking, not a moment's hesitation, Peter. And he'll get on side with the public, presented himself as the saviour of the issue and the solution to all the problems there. And John Key notches up in the polls and looks like, the one to never be knocked out of the seat. So this is all the politics around it. But at the end of it, when you stand right back, New Zealand has clearly been positioned for a choice here, which abandons anything similar to what we've had before. The four flag options that are there, I think you've seen them, Peter. They kind of, you've got the Southern Cross there. You've got some blue colours, of the Pacific. You've got a silver fern in it. So there's all these icons that we're well familiar with. Now, the red peak design is absolutely quite different, and it's said to represent, in its essence, some of the patterns that are on the side of the meeting houses on Marae, which is the sacred land of Maori tribes, or iwi.
Yeah.
Now, that's what it's supposed to represent, and also the peak of like New Zealand's Southern Alps and its volcanic plateau in the central North Island, that type of thing, can be read into it as well. Yeah. So it's an interesting design, and I actually see it in shape and in its oblique and shape, sharp peaks, as similar to the South African flag in a sense. Although totally different colours, of course. The criticisms of it back here, Peter, from the New Zealand First Party, and they said in the House yesterday that it resembles the same design that Nazi Germany used on their sentry boxes during World War II.
Oh, okay.
And that it exposes New Zealand to that kind of stigma. If you want to put it that way.
Those things do stick, don't they?
So that's a new criticism that has come through. There's other criticism saying, well, actually, this flag design is identical to an engineering firm in the United States, is the logo of an engineering firm in the United States.
Okay.
And when you look at it, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
And apparently this engineering firm says, if New Zealand goes that way, we don't mind. We're not going to push the copyright on it, etc., etc. But
no, they'll enjoy being associated with it, and people mistaking one for the other, I guess. Yeah,
certainly if there's the two-way trade that starts for the engineering firm or something. But,
indeed.
So there's the great flag debate.
The great flag debate, which we watch with interest here because, it's a topic that comes up here so often, but we haven't moved down the path that you've come, or you're going.
But I'll say, like I have every time, Peter, that if people think it's a symbol of New Zealand moving toward a republic, not under this particular government.
No.
This is just window dressing, changing of a logo, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
There's no substance behind it apart from populism. And that's the sad reality.
Which is where John Key likes to be.
Flag debate.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
So we'll just have a quick break and be right back with you with more. Selwyn Manning with us, editor of eveningreport.nz.
David Penberthy, Mark Aston and Jane Riley for breakfast.
Do you know what you should do, Jane, in your retirement? You should think about writing a book, a sort of explainer of the principles of weather for simpletons like me who don't know anything about it.
Good idea. You might have to sub it because she's completely dyslexic.
Can you do what you did with Kane? You know how you helped Kane with his book?
It'd be good if you could put in a chapter about how much you hated Matthew Primus.
The 5AA Breakfast Show, weekday mornings from 6 on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
At Pain Away, we're about the pain. The whole pain, nothing but the pain. Everyday Aussies to elite professional athletes are using easy-to-apply Pain Away arthritis and sports creams and sprays. At Pain Away, we believe so much in all our pain relief products that we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on all products purchased. So if you suffer joint or muscular pain, try Pain Away.
Pain Away products are available in all leading pharmacies across Australia. Use only as directed. Always read the label. If pain persists, see your healthcare professional.
Right now, get a set of famous Cooper 4x4 tyres for your four-wheel drive. Famous because you get more Cooper for less coin and more warranty. Cooper tyres are made to go the distance, which is why their 4x4 tyres come with up to a 100,000 kilometre warranty. That's a lot of driving on a lot of tyre. Get more Cooper for less coin and up to a 100,000 kilometre warranty. Cooper tyres, guaranteed to last. Call 1300 Cooper now or visit coopertyres.com.au.
If you're looking for great food and incredible value, you'll find it at the Paradise Hotel Bistro. $10.90 schnitzels every Thursday and Saturday. Head to the Paradise Bistro on a Friday for their amazing steak cooked just how you like it from $12.90. The Paradise Bistro gives you a reason to love Mondays as well because kids eat free. And seniors haven't been forgotten with our $9.90 seniors menu Monday to Friday. Plus, the Paradise Gaming Room is open until 2:30am. The Paradise Hotel has it all. ParadiseHotel.com.au. Gamble responsibly.
This is Peter Godfrey. Downsizing in retirement doesn't mean downsizing your lifestyle. Visit balmoralretirementvillage.com.au.
Time is 18 minutes past 5. We're taking a look at things across the ditch in New Zealand. Selwyn Manning, editor of eveningreport.nz with us. Now, Selwyn, see there's reports of an earthquake got rattled the central North Island of New Zealand.
Yes, it did earlier this morning, Peter. It seems to be centred in the east coast central area of the North Island. It was felt fairly strongly in Napier and Hawke's Bay, and also Apotiki, Whakatane in the Bay of Plenty, across to Taupo, Rotorua. So all of that central kind of area. It was even felt in Wellington. Now, it was 5.1, but quite deep, as I understand it, in the initial reports coming out of the government's monitoring area. And it seemed to go for about 22 seconds in a rolling kind of thing. So one of those kind of deeper down ones, which often will be felt in a wide kind of space of, over a large distance, but not creating such significant damage up on top.
Okay. Any reports of damage at all?
No, just rocking and, a few people waking from their slumber. Social media and Twitter, etc., has been live with people saying, just woken up to this, woken up by it, et cetera, it seemed to fade away. I think there's a heightened awareness of the earthquakes at the moment as well because of the devastation in Chile last week. And New Zealand was also in the wake of, like most countries in the Pacific Basin were, to the tsunami that was coming across. A number of schools on the eastern side of the North Island here in New Zealand were the children evacuated up to high ground, etc., in preparation for that. And they said even if it fizzled out, which it fairly well did, that it was a great exercise anyway. But the sea level came up around about half a metre and swirled around some of the estuaries and things like that, and the warnings of those kind of currents were there for a couple of days. Now, that was last week, so with this earthquake here, whether or not the plate's all settling down or not, the scientists know certainly a lot more about it. No doubt by later today.
Okay. What time is it locally, roughly? It was early hours of the morning, was it?
No, it was around 7 a.m. as I understand it. Yeah, I have to confirm that. But,
okay.
No reports of significant damage or anything like that, but certainly, got people waking up.
Yeah.
In one part, Waipukurau, which is just south of Napier on the east coast of the North Island there, they heard it as well. So, there's deep rumbling. Sometimes with these earthquakes, I don't know, some of your listeners would know, I guess, and you hear it like a train coming in the distance, and it'll rumble on through, and it was one of those. Others do a big jolt. Every one of them is kind of different. Up in Auckland, we don't really get to feel them that often. There have been, slight shakes that have gone through the area, but certainly when you're down in the Hawke's Bay area, certainly around Napier, Waipukurau or Hastings, those kind of areas, in Wellington certainly as well, you get to feel earthquakes if you're there for any length of time.
Okay, well, good that no damage reported from that. Different story, Rugby World Cup, both your team and ours doing all right, doing a bit of damage to the other teams. So you kicked off your the New Zealand campaign with a win on Monday. What was it against Argentina?
Yes, it was. Now, that was a bit of a shaky start for the All Blacks. Argentina were ahead at half-time, looking very solid. We're rattling the All Blacks. Strong defence by the Argentinians. The Puma team there was impregnable for the All Blacks for quite some time, and it wasn't until those big boys in that Puma Argentina team started to fatigue in the second half that the All Blacks' fitness came through in their ball handling skills, and the All Blacks managed a 26-16 win over Argentina on Monday. And we were not criticised, but it was observed that their start was a bit of a shaky one. And Australia this morning playing Fiji. There was a lot of interest over here in New Zealand on that game. 28-13. You guys won from what I understand there, Peter.
Yes, 28-13 was the final score. Correct. Yeah.
And the initial writing from the sports pundits here, look at the New Zealand Herald site. The headline's a bit inflammatory and perhaps not as in tune with the actual story, but the headline says Australia struggles to put Fiji down. Someone's got a bit excited there. Clearly in the writer himself, he's saying David Pocock, your guy there, was just a powerhouse there. A little bit of a rusty start for the Wallabies, but generally, that's what I think most expect from the top teams in these tournaments, that they're getting their legs in another side of the world. It was the same even for England. They had a big win against Fiji earlier in the opening game, but once again, they were a bit static and stop-start type of thing and holding the game back. But interesting stuff forming up from there. Some of the interesting games coming through, Peter. Certainly, if you look ahead, is it Sunday, is it, for the England versus Wales game? Yes, it is. And that will be an interesting one, really, for Pool A that you guys are in. That England versus Wales game will show what kind of form they really are in, and certainly, it'll help you guys, Australia, prepare for your game against those teams.
Well, England had a huge win over Fiji, sort of their opening game. So
35-11 with England, but once again, they were seen as being a bit, early season for them. And the skills that were in display to get that win were criticised down here in New Zealand because they slowed the game right down. It was like, England was plodding along, but, their strategy, if that's what it was certainly one that beat the flamboyance of the Fiji team. The other one to watch is ongoing at the moment. It's France versus Romania
Yeah.
And just as we went to air, Peter, it was 3-3 between France and Romania. And France clearly is expected to win that game. But it's a team that everyone is watching because France often finds itself in the finals, or at least in the semi-finals. Scotland, big win over Japan. Now, 45-10 Scotland overnight, Peter. Now, remember that Japan beat South Africa.
Yeah, that was the surprise, wasn't it?
Only just. South Africa went down. Yeah, 32 points to Japan's 34. Japan they were playing for their lives, and what an amazing result there. So South Africa's got a long way to go to get itself back into respectable standards. Even if it wins all its way through to the quarterfinals, it's got that stigma sitting on its shoulder. But Scotland, beat Japan 45-10. So while Japan absolutely did South Africa over, it wasn't able to beat Scotland. And on the radio here, just earlier on Radio New Zealand, they had one of those players the captain, I think, from Japan, saying that they put so much into the South Africa game and weren't making excuses, but they just couldn't outplay Scotland, and Scotland was just too strong.
Too strong. There we go. Yeah, indeed. Interestingly, I did see a story just in regard to the All Blacks that suggested possibly that the haka could be slowing down the All Blacks at the start of their game. That the adrenaline of performing the haka might take a bit away from their early performance.
Yeah, well, that was the counter to it. That was last week. In the English press, they've been working on the All Blacks psyche, and trying to dull them down, make them feel like they're not as flash as they possibly are or whatever. And the haka, English press was saying, this haka business, it's giving the All Blacks time to shine before a game, to intimidate and get themselves excited for the game. Back here in New Zealand, they said, well, actually, and some of the All Black players actually responded to this, they said, the thing is that we put so much into the haka, it takes us some time in the first half after kick-off to actually get the game going. The adrenaline's peaked, and then we've got to play the game. And they're saying that, while there is an advantage in the cultural expression of the haka, etc., for them to, as part of the psyche, obviously, of the All Black teams going back over century, that is the downside to it. So who knows? Who knows? I think there's a little bit of politicking going on.
Could well be, indeed. All right, Selwyn, thanks for your time this morning. You have a great week. We'll catch you again on breakfast tomorrow morning after 6:30, and may the best rugby club teams win. Well, we want both the All Blacks and Australia, of course, to win. Thanks, Selwyn. Catch you again next week. See you, mate.
Bye.
28 past 5. Matthew Pentelis next with all the latest news, sport and